us who are practicing pranayama.
See, we are not looking at vegetarian, non-vegetarian in terms of himsa, ahimsa. You must understand, whatever you eat, it is himsa. Whether you cut a carrot or a chicken or whatever, it is still himsa because it's life. But if you don't cut it, then you'll do himsa for this life, isn't it? So when you know, every day to sustain yourself, you have to take so many lives. Whether vegetable life, plant life, animal life, that's not the issue. You have to take much life to keep this life going every day. Is it true? Arshaya, you don't like that?
No, I said God goofed up there.
He didn't goof it up, let me tell you. He didn't goof it up. So, when you're aware that to keep me going, all these are sacrificing their lives, how you should live here? Tell me how you should live. Can you live blatantly, ignorantly? Is it possible? Is it possible? Now if you're aware, every day so many lives are giving up their lives just to keep me alive, how you should live, with how much gratitude, with how much gentleness you must exist on this planet. If you become aware, every time you're eating, you know it is another life that you're eating. It doesn't matter whether it's chicken or carrot or orange or apple or what, you're eating another life, isn't it? If you're aware of this, you will not eat blatantly, you will eat just the extent it is necessary and you will live in a completely different way. So what you eat is not the point, not in terms of himsa, but when you eat food, it must be suitable for your system. You don't eat tiger's food. Tiger eats his food, that's correct for him, that's suitable for his body. You must eat what is suitable for your body. For that you experiment and see, okay? One day you just eat meat 100%. You see how your body feels. One day you just eat fruit and see how it feels. One day you just eat vegetable, see how it feels. One day you cook everything and eat, how it feels. One day you cook it you eat it as it is and see how it feels. Whatever goes best for you, you eat that. When it comes to food, don't ask anybody. Your doctors don't know anything about food, your nutritionists do not know anything about food, your yoga people do not know anything about food. When it comes to food, you must learn to ask the body and listen to it. What your body wants, what your body is happy with, that's what you should eat. So first thing is to learn to listen to the body. Food is about the body. Right now you're eating for your mind. Mind has nothing to do with the food, isn't it? Food is about the body. Please learn to listen to your body. Then you will see, you will naturally eat properly.
Non-vegetarian food, are we also not consuming the fear and the pain that is registered in that flesh when it was killed?
Yes, in certain ways, very much so.
We are consuming.
We are.
So would that be one good reason to avoid?
One small reason, there are bigger reasons. Much bigger reasons are there, but yes, that is also one of the reasons.
Because you said that, one of the reasons why I don't eat non-veg is because to me it's violent food. But you just demolished that notion. You said everything is violent food.
No, in terms of your action, I'm talking himsa, ahimsa, that guilt, not necessary. Now, in terms of the quality of food that's entering you, definitely vegetarian food is far better for the system than the non-vegetarian. Worldwide, medically this awareness is slowly spreading, isn't it? But always we have said this. 2000 years ago, Mahavir said, if you eat the flesh of an animal, the qualities of the animal will enter you. People laughed. I ate many chicken, you think I'll become a chicken? This is the argument. Today, modern food scientists are telling you the same thing in a different way. When you slaughter an animal, it doesn't matter how scientifically or how cunningly you do it, the last few moments before the slaughter, the animal realizes it's going to be slaughtered. Suppose you realize, actually we're going to do it. Today, 6 o'clock in the evening, we're going to slaughter you. What will happen to you? Enormous tension, isn't it? Yes or no? Yes. You'll start climbing the walls, you'll go crazy. 6 o'clock, we are going to slaughter you means you know what all happens to you. Whenever there is tension in your mind, the acidic content on the cellular level is very high. You got tension in your head, acidity in your stomach, you notice this? This is not just in the stomach, in every cell in the body, the acidic content raises dramatically when the mind is tense. So if you're going to be slaughtered, you can imagine the kind of tension that you're going through. The animal also goes through this, so every cell in its body, the acidic content increases dramatically. Now the scientists are saying, if you eat these acids which are in the cells of the animals which have been slaughtered, then the same tensions will happen in you for no reason. This is not karma, this is just, bad food, unsuitable food, that's all. Karma is on a different scale, that is a different aspect. Now, because you have consumed certain acids, now the body goes through a cycle of tension. And you will see these things are happening in a huge way. People who are consuming certain type of food are unnecessarily tense. They are going through enormous amount of tension. It is not even mental, the very system goes through this because these acids, you can also manufacture this in your body, but now you're taking it in from outside, which is not necessary for you. Does it mean if I eat non-vegetarian food, I can't be well? That's not the point. You can eat garbage and be like a Buddha. It's possible. Food is not the deciding factor, but food has an influence on you. So, if you don't want to be influenced in a certain way, then you are little conscious about what you eat. This is not about eating this, not eating that. This is about being conscious of how much of what do you eat. If you look at it carefully, you will see the way the herbivores are built and the way the carnivores are built. If you look at this, all aspects of the body, you will see you're built like a herbivore, not like a carnivore. And carnivorous animals don't eat every day. Do you know this? If a snake eats once, it won't eat for the next 12 to 18 days. If a tiger eats, it won't eat between somewhere 8 to 15 days. So, you want to eat 3 times a day, that is the herbivore's way. Herbivores are eating through the day, isn't it? A cow or an elephant or other things, they eat all the time, no problem, because vegetable matter. Those that eat meat, they give sufficient break between one meal and the next. Their systems are made that way. Your system is not made that way. Can you go once in 15 days food like a tiger? That means you're not made for tiger's food, isn't it? And sleep quota is hugely increased when you start consuming non-vegetarian food. You sleep unnecessarily. It's because of this, and most of the medical science are coming from the West. Doctors are insisting you must sleep 10 hours a day to be healthy. It's just a completely wrong conclusion. In my life, the average sleep I have is about 2.5 hours, 3 hours per day. Am I healthy? If you right now feel my pulse, it's just around something like 42, 43. That's because I have food in my stomach. If I'm hungry and if I sit here, it is in the range of 35 to 38. That means I'm in deep sleep, deep sleep. Am I awake enough? Am I awake enough to do any activity in the world? So if you're like this, if your system is like this, where is the question of stress? There is no such thing in your life. There is no such thing as stress. If I don't sleep for 3 nights, day and night I'm active, you will still not notice any difference in the way I am. I'll continue the same way, with the same vigor, with the same zest, with the same involvement. When the process of life is effortless, you can give yourself absolutely to anything. When the process of life is effortful, even if it concerns your life, you can't give yourself totally to it. Look at this. Because it's effortful. If it becomes effortless, you would give yourself absolutely to every action in your life, isn't it so? And that will make a world of difference.
The population of the world is under hunger. Godmen's sermons mostly sell us so in the affluent class. The poor class doesn't know any virtues, they don't see any virtues. Do you have anything for the poorer class?
Over 70% of our work is with the rural masses. A large part of our work is only with the rural masses. So when you go to a place where people have not even eaten properly, you can't talk enlightenment to them. You have to talk how to eat better. That is a large part of our work. But why 50% of the people are not able to eat properly in the world? We better look at that, isn't it? People are not eating properly. I was just talking to somebody just a week ago, just 5 days ago, I was in a village where we are opening computer training centers in the villages. We have a whole project of rural rejuvenation as a part of this. We were opening a computer training center for a very remote village. It's a small village, but from many other villages children are coming. They have a girls' school where 750 girls are studying. It's really wonderful that many girls are going to school, first of all. So we went there, we started this computer center and all this, and it's a big moment in their life that, they've told them that I'm coming, and big arrangements they've all made. They all dressed in their best uniforms, properly ironed clothes, everything, which is a big thing for them. This is something that I've noticed for a long time with many people, but this was so stark on that day. All these girls, 10th standard girls, that means 14, 15-year-old girls, they're all like this. They have not eaten properly right from their childhood. Today they are all in ironed clothes and everything, especially for me. But when I see them, I see they have not eaten well all their lives. They have been on curtailed diets, that their physical body has not grown into its full size. If you have not been into villages, I want you to walk into villages and see. Today if you walk into any village, you will find at least 60% of the people, you will see their skeleton has not grown to its full size. That means their physical body itself has not found its full expansion. When it doesn't happen, when the body doesn't grow, the mind also will not grow. It will also be curtailed. Or in other words, we are going to produce a whole generation of underdeveloped people. It's happening in India, quietly. People are always talking about tsunamis, this, that. A silent disaster is happening quietly, This is not because there is no food in the world. There is enough food. We are right now about 7 billion people or close to that, but actually there is enough food on the planet to feed over 18 billion people. In spite of that, half the population is not eating properly. We must look at this, why, isn't it? If there was no food, that's different. There is more food than anybody can eat, but still half the population is not eating properly. I think every one of us really need to look at this, why half the population is not eating properly. There's no food in the world, that's different. There is enough food and they're still not able to eat, why? So, everybody needs to look at that.
What's your perception on that?
You tell me.
The richer doesn't want the poor to have.
Yes. People who don't have want to share. People who don't have anything to share want to share. People who have something to share don't want to share. 90% of the world's wealth is in the hands of 2 to 5% of the people in the world. This is the reality. So, somewhere, spirituality, always we are approaching the affluent, not because spirituality is only for them, because only if they transform themselves, the world will change quickly. The poor will know only one way to transform, which is a gross way of… revolutions have happened in the past. There are terrible ways to change the world, isn't it? And still nothing changes. Whatever you have seen, the Chinese revolution, the Russian revolution, the poor classes got frustrated and rose up and did terrible things. But still, the change happened, but it need not happen so painfully, isn't it? The change can happen gently if the affluent, there is some change in their perception of life. So spirituality means not empty talking about heaven or something. Spirituality means all-inclusiveness in your experience. The word yoga means union. Union means in your experience everything has become one. If you sit here and if you really experience all these people as a part of yourself, after that, will I have to tell you, if somebody is hungry there, please feed him, don't leave him hungry? Do I have to tell you this? You would anyway take care of him, isn't it? Anything that you experience as a part of myself, would you neglect that? You wouldn't. So spirituality means just that you begin to experience everything as a part of yourself. You are not an exclusive human being, you have become an all-inclusive human being. So in this there is no rich and poor. It is not that the spirituality is either for the rich or for poor. Human suffering is human suffering. Whether somebody suffers hunger or somebody suffers indigestion, it is not different. When suffering is happening, suffering is suffering, isn't it? If you look at the world, the affluent societies in the world, their level of suffering is far deeper than the poorer classes of the world, actually. Though the poor class is suffering physically, it is visible, but the affluent parts of the world, their level of suffering is very deep. Most of you have definitely traveled around, and if you travel in, let's say in Europe and come back to India, you will see the level of life physically, financially is so much lower, but you will see people are a little more relaxed and there are more smiles on their faces. It's hard to get a smile out of a person in the European continent, except in a few places. Isn't it so? Suffering has sank deep into them. This is because centuries of well-being has happened. Centuries of affluence have happened, and affluence has generally reached the common man. See, in India, affluence is still very centralized with a few people. In Western countries, affluence has touched common people, isn't it? In United States or in Europe, affluence has touched everybody. Everybody is enjoying the benefits of affluence. And life has become hopeless. They don't see any way out. So suffering is suffering. How you suffer, what made you suffer is not the point. Human suffering is human suffering as far as I am concerned. Whether one is rich or poor or man or woman or this or that, what does it matter? Suffering is suffering. So, does this work touch the poor people? Yes, but in a different way. I'm not vulgar enough to go and talk enlightenment to a man who is hungry. When a man is hungry, I will talk about ways and means for him to enhance his physical life. It needs to happen everywhere, it's not in any one particular place. There is a massive program which we are conducting right now called Action for Rural Rejuvenation. So if you're truly concerned, you must see what you can do about it. It's a comprehensive program including health, environment, and it involves various other aspects, yoga, many things to bring health and well-being to rural masses.
This is called as inner engineering. As there is a science and technology to create external well-being, we have engineered the outside world in so many ways to bring comfort and convenience for ourselves. Whatever comfort and convenience we have done in the last 100 years, let's say, much engineering we have done with the world, we have earned the kind of comforts and conveniences no other generation ever knew. We are definitely the most comfortable generation ever on this planet. In spite of that, human beings are still not happy, they're not any happier than what they were before. So, this is simply because the inner dimension of the human being has been neglected. So what we are offering is called as inner engineering. As you engineer the outside to create the kind of situations that you want to be in, similarly engineering the interiority the way you want it to be. So if your interiority… See, when you want to engineer the outside, there are so many ingredients involved, so many components, but when it comes to the interiority, it is just you. So it's a subjective engineering. So once a person engineers himself the way he wants, definitely he will engineer himself into a very peaceful, joyful and blissful human being. And your body and your mind and your intelligence functions at its best only when you're peaceful and happy. So inner engineering, one thing, it changes the complexion of the way you experience your life, it changes the context of your life from being in pursuit of happiness to be an expression of joy. And one gets to function at its optimum level. We have noticed this in corporate sector and in various places, that one's level of efficiency grows up dramatically simply because he's so much more peaceful and happy, his physical body and mind is so much more organized. So this is a science, this is not a teaching, this is not a philosophy or a belief system. This is an inner science, a subjective science.